I've known Sarah since we were teenagers. My best friend for nearly 30 years. We've woven our lives together through high school heartbreaks, disastrous job interviews, marriages that bloomed and wilted, and the quiet shift of life's tides. So when she invited me to her family's Lakehouse for the weekend, it felt like slipping into a familiar embrace. Just two old friends, sipping wine, laughing over memories, wrapped in the warmth of our shared past. But something stirred that weekend. Something unexpected, electric, that made my pulse quicken. My skin hum in a way I hadn't felt in years. It was her brother, Mark. I hadn't seen him in ages. Back then, he was the cocky younger brother, 5 years our junior, always pulling pranks, stealing cookies, his mischievous grin and flirty charm disarming everyone. He was a boy. We were women. The age gap a vast canyon. But time has a way of softening edges, of turning canyons into paths you never expected to walk. I arrived late that Friday evening. The sun dipped low, kissing the treetops, casting golden shadows across the dock. The lake shimmered, a copper mirror, its surface still and inviting. Sarah ran out, her laughter bright, arms wide. We hugged, tight, timeless, her familiar warmth grounding me. She led me inside, the house enveloping me in pinewood and nostalgia. Cozy blankets draped over chairs, faded photos of summer barbecues, childhood swims, that creaky screen door singing its old song. Then I saw him, Mark, in the kitchen, pouring wine, his movements slow, deliberate. He turned, and the air shifted, heavy with something unspoken. He'd aged, oh so gracefully. Salt and pepper streaked his once jet-black curls, his hazel eyes softer yet piercing, holding a quiet fire. His face, rugged like a man from an old western, carried stories etched in every line. Elaine, his voice, deeper, richer, sent a shiver down my spine, warm and slow like honey. I smiled, shifting my bag, in the flesh. He crossed the room, his chuckle low, pulling me into a hug, brief, warm. But his arms lingered, his hands brushing my back a moment too long. Intentional, a spark ignited, subtle, undeniable, warming my skin. That evening, we sat on the back deck, the three of us, stars piercing the velvet sky. Crickets hummed a soft summer hymn. Sarah slipped inside for dessert, leaving me and Mark alone, the air thick with possibility. I always thought you were too cool for me, he said, his voice low, eyes fixed on the horizon. I turned, surprised, a flutter in my chest. You were a kid, more into your skateboard than talking. He smirked, a slow, teasing curve of his lips. Maybe. But I noticed you. That quiet strength. How you stood up for Sarah when she clashed with our parents. You were fearless. His words wrapped around me, warm, heavy, stirring something deep. Funny, I said, my voice soft. I thought you never saw me. He turned, his gaze locking with mine, intense, open, vulnerable, like he was seeing me, not the girl I was, but the woman I am now. Curves and scars and all. My heart stirred, a slow burn I hadn't felt in years, like embers flaring under a gentle breath. Strange, how someone can fade from your thoughts, only to return and set your world trembling. A stone rippling still water. Sarah returned. All laughter and stories, and the moment slipped away. But Mark's eyes kept finding me, lingering, tracing the curve of my neck, the line of my jaw. Not intrusive, curious, hungry, like he was rediscovering something he hadn't dared dream of. I felt it too, that pull, quiet heat blooming beneath my skin, a question whispered in every glance. The next day, we walked by the lake, the air crisp, scented with pine and lakeweed. Sarah stepped ahead for a call, leaving Mark and me trailing, our steps slow, deliberate. "You still wear that necklace," he said, his voice low, his eyes on the silver charm nestled above my collarbone, where my pulse flickered. I smiled, touching it, my fingers grazing my skin. "Yeah, a gift from my late husband. I never take it off." His gaze softened, but there was a spark there, something deeper. "I remember when you got it. You came over for dinner, and he couldn't stop smiling." "Good years," I whispered, my voice catching. He nodded. "Do you still feel close to him?" "Sometimes," I admitted, my breath uneven. "Other times, I'm learning who I am without him." Mark's eyes held me, steady, knowing. Maybe that's the bravest thing anyone can do. We stopped, the breeze stirring the branches, a bird darting through the trees. His expression was gentle, grounded, but there was a heat beneath it, a quiet hunger. Not the reckless boy I knew, but a man who'd lived, loved, lost. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers lingered, brushing my cheek, slow, deliberate. My breath caught, not from surprise, but from the ache of being touched like that, like I was desired, seen, wanted. The air between us hummed, electric, my skin tingling where his fingers had been. I didn't move, neither did he. The moment stretched, taut, alive with unspoken desire. Then he stepped back, clearing his throat. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice rough. I didn't mean to overstep, but he hadn't. Not at all. I nodded, my lips parted, words lost in the heat of my thoughts. That night, in the guest room, I stared at the moonlit lake, my body alive with a quiet storm. Memories, feelings, questions I'd buried for years. My fingers traced the path his had taken on my cheek, my skin still warm, my heart racing. Something was awakening, something I hadn't expected, and I was curious, oh, so curious, to see where it might lead. Morning came, sunlight slipping through curtains, casting gold across the floor. I lingered in bed, the Lakehouse's magic slowing time, wrapping me in peace. Maybe it was the still water, the comfort of Sarah's presence, or maybe it was Mark, his gaze at breakfast, quiet, burning, like he was unraveling me piece by piece. My own eyes lingered on him, the way his shirt clung to his shoulders, the faint stubble on his jaw. I was unraveling too. Sarah went to town for groceries. I stayed behind, needing space to breathe, to think. I wandered to the dock, book in hand, unread. The water lapped softly, a loon's call echoing. Footsteps approached. "Mark, mind if I join you?" His voice was low, warm, sliding over me like a caress. I smiled, my pulse quickening. "Of course not." He sat close, his thigh brushing mine, the contact sending a shiver through me. The silence was easy, charged, our breaths syncing with the lake's rhythm. Then he spoke. "I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable yesterday." "You didn't," I said, my voice soft, my body awake. He exhaled, a sound of relief, his eyes darkening. Good, because I meant it, meant what I asked, though I knew, my voice trembling. That touch, that look, it wasn't nostalgia, he said, turning, his gaze locking with mine, the lake's shimmer dancing in his eyes. "It's about now, about seeing you. Strong, beautiful, kind. So damn real. My breath hitched, my body leaning toward him, drawn by an invisible thread. Words like that. I hadn't heard them since my husband passed. I'd locked that part of myself away. But Mark's voice, his nearness, was prying it open. I don't know what to say. I whispered, my lips tingling. You don't have to say anything, he murmured, his voice a low rumble. I just needed you to know. The air crackled, alive with want. I reached out, my hand finding his, our fingers intertwining, his thumb brushing my skin, slow, deliberate, igniting sparks. We sat, hands locked, the lake gleaming, my heart pounding. I haven't felt this way in a long time. I admitted, my voice shaky, raw. Neither have I, he said, his eyes never leaving mine. We stayed, no need to speak, the silence pulsing with desire, with possibility. Later, in the den, the fire crackled, shadows dancing on the walls. Sarah was upstairs. Mark and I were alone, the air thick with unspoken need. I'm sorry about your husband, he said, his voice soft, rough with emotion. Grief doesn't fade easy. No, I said, warmth spreading in my chest. Some days are fine. Others, it hits hard. He nodded. I lost someone too. Cancer, quick, cruel. I saw it then, beneath his rugged exterior, his own grief, a mirror to mine. Maybe that's what bound us. Not just desire, not just nostalgia. Two souls, scarred, yearning to feel again. I stood, drawn to the window, the moon casting silver across the lake. Mark, I said, my voice trembling. What are we doing? He joined me, close, his warmth radiating. I don't know, he said, honest, raw, but I can't pretend I don't feel it. It's real. Our eyes met, the air heavy with want. He leaned in, slow, his breath warm against my skin, giving me space to pull away. I didn't. His lips brushed mine, soft, warm, a slow exploration that set my body alight. A kiss that whispered. Are you ready? Not demanding, but inviting. I kissed him back, my hands finding his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart, my own racing. Something unlocked, a door in my heart creaking open, just enough to let light in. We pulled away, breathless, no words needed. That night, I lay awake, my body humming with possibility, my skin alive with the memory of his touch. Before dawn, I stepped onto the deck, a blanket around me, the lake mist rolling like a secret. Mark joined me, handing me coffee, his fingers brushing mine, deliberate, warm. We stood, the blanket grazing his arm, the moment sacred. I couldn't sleep, he said, his voice low, intimate. Me neither. I can't stop thinking about you, he said, his eyes searching mine. No trace of pretense. I know it's complicated, I said, my voice soft. Sarah doesn't know. I don't even know what this is. I'm not asking for answers, he said, his gaze steady. Just want to be honest. I swallowed, the coffee's warmth grounding me. We've been through too much for games, I said. This feels real, terrifying, but kind. That word lingered, soft, true, not thrill, not infatuation, something gentle, warm, in a world that hadn't been. We didn't kiss, didn't touch, just stood, the intimacy deeper than anything physical. Reality crept in. Sarah returned, bursting with energy, arms full of fruit, gossip on her lips. She didn't see the shift, not yet, but I felt every glance, every pause, every stolen smile between Mark and me. kayaking that afternoon. Sarah laughed ahead, her paddle clumsy. Mark and I lagged, our paddles barely rippling the water, our eyes meeting, charged. "I've missed this," Sarah called, all of us together. Mark's gaze held mine. "Me too," he said, his voice low. "Meant for me." After dinner, Sarah went to bed early. Mark and I cleaned up, our hands brushing in the kitchen's warm glow. Each touch a spark, a promise. "I think we need to talk," I whispered, my voice trembling with want. He nodded, leaning against the counter, his eyes dark, intense. "I care about her. She's my best friend. If she knew, it'd change everything." "I get that," he said, his voice steady. "But if we pretend there's nothing here, will it hurt less? Will it make it not real?" I bit my lip, my body leaning toward him. "No, it wouldn't." He stepped closer, his heat enveloping me, but still giving me space. "We don't have to rush," he said, his voice a low rumble, sending a shiver through me. "I don't want to hide, but I don't want to hurt you or her." I nodded, my breath uneven, one moment at a time. He smiled, warm, safe, his eyes tracing my face, lingering on my lips. That night, we sat on the deck, a blanket between us, stars above, our shoulders touched, hands found each other, fingers intertwining, warm, electric, no urgency, just trust, comfort. I rested my head on his shoulder, eyes closed, my body alive with his nearness. "I don't know what tomorrow brings," I murmured. "Neither do I," he whispered, his breath warm against my hair. "But tonight, I'm here." Morning came, wrapped in gold. I woke on the deck, blanket over us, my head on Mark's shoulder, his arm around me, warm, steady. The lake was glassy, the world hushed. His breathing anchored me, and for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for something to break. I was here. He stretched, his morning smile soft, intimate. "I could get used to this," he said, his voice rough with sleep, stirring something deep in me. I didn't reply, just took his hand, my fingers tracing his slow, deliberate. Sarah found us an hour later, coffee in hand, mid-story about a squirrel in the pantry. She paused, her eyes catching our closeness, our fingers slipping apart too slowly. She didn't speak, just handed me a mug and sat. Quiet. The shift was there, a tremor in my chest. By afternoon, I couldn't avoid it. I found Sarah on the porch, legs curled, staring into the forest. "Can I sit?" She nodded. "I should have told you," I began. "About Mark and me. I didn't mean to hide it. I'm not sure what it is yet." She sipped her tea, silent. "He's my brother," she said finally. "You're my best friend. It's strange to imagine you together." "I know," I said, my voice soft. "Believe me, I didn't expect it." She turned to me, her eyes searching. "I know what you've been through. The loneliness in your eyes, even when you smile. If someone's giving you a reason to feel alive again, I'd never stand in the way." Tears stung my eyes. "Thank you," I whispered. She smirked, a spark of her old self. "I'll need time to get used to it." I laughed, relief washing over me. Fair enough. We sat, silent, honest, the bond between us stronger for it. That evening, Mark and I walked by the lake, the sun spilling amber across the water. "I'm not expecting a fairy tale," I said, my voice soft, my body alive with his nearness. "I'm not offering one," he replied, his smile warm, his eyes tracing my face. "Just something real, worth exploring." I took his hand, our fingers intertwining, his thumb brushing my skin, sending a shiver through me. I want that too. He leaned in, kissed my forehead. Slow, tender, his lips lingering, warm, stirring a quiet fire. When it was time to go, we hugged, long, our bodies pressed close, the moment heavy with unspoken promises. Driving away, the sky darkened, the road opened. I thought about love, not the wild rush of youth, but the quiet wisdom of someone who's known loss. Mark's presence, steady, warm, a current pulling me gently forward, and me opening up, not just for him, but for myself, for the chance to feel, to burn, to live again.